we got everything tied. Well, we got line on the spool, rod and reel good to go. We put a bobber on the swivel, and the swivel is attached to the main line with a Palomar knot. Next, after you have the bobber on there, well, once you have the main swivel, again, there's a bunch of different things you could do. And me, I do a bunch of different stuff depending on what I'm going for. All right, but let's say we're going after bluegills, a little perch. You want to use like something for a like the just to cast a worm out, most old school basic version of fishing. What you want to do, um, well, you could do a couple different things. You could go to the store and buy pre-tied hooks, which already has a leader line that's snelled to the hook, and it has a overhand knot to where you connect it to your bobber. Problem, me, I don't particularly favor that. Just again, personal preference of mine because I don't like buying pre-tied stuff because you only have so many. Let's say you're fishing a high snag area, or you get some bigger fish biting on stuff, and you keep breaking off. Well, after about what 6 of them, you're all out. So me, I like to buy a whole bunch of hooks in bulk, and I tie my own. I tie my own leaders. All right. So what I have right here is, I believe it is a 4/0 Eagle Claw circle hook. Now, hooks. If fishing line is the most important thing on your fishing setup, hooks are right behind it. Because if you don't have a good, reliable hook, what's the point of even fishing? You could have the most expensive gear that is out on the market, but if you don't have a good hook, you're not gonna catch nothing. All right. And my preference for hooks is based on my experience. For bigger catfish, I use depending on the season. If it's spring, summertime, I'll use a 8/0 Eagle Claw circle hook. And I like the 8/0 because it's enough area on the hook to hook it to a bigger fish's mouth. And the circle hooks, when that pole goes down, when your fishing rod gives resistance, the hook actually sets itself. Now, fisherman instinct, I still set the hook anyway. You're not supposed to, but I do. All right. Um, if it's wintertime, cold weather, and I'm on fish, I'll upgrade to a 9/0. I'm sorry, a 9/0 or even a 10/0 circle hook, and that's because with blue catfish, you want to typically use bigger baits in the wintertime. And when you put bigger baits on your hooks, you want more hook point exposed, so you'll actually increase the chances of you getting the proper and a perfect hook set. All right. For bluegills, I like using a size 6 Gamakatsu circle hook. And I'm going to tell you why. It was only earlier last year that I just started using these. I catch a lot of bait. I catch a lot of bluegills for bait for like flathead catfish. And I have personally noticed that smaller Gamakatsu hooks I have seen have a lot better hookup ratio than Eagle Claw in the smaller hooks. All right. I like the Eagle Claws for bigger fish, just basically because I don't have a reason not to. I've been using them forever and they do work. But for smaller bluegills, white perch, yellow perch, Gamakatsu. All right. These are, again, size 6 octopus circle hooks. Immediate hookup. I'm not trying to advertise for them, but it is. I've noticed I get a very quick hookup, and when I'm catching bait, I'm trying to minimize my time of catching bluegill. All right, but what we're going to use a like a 4 or 5/0 Eagle Claw circle hook. Going after channel catfish, this is not a bad hook. And me, especially if I'm fishing wide open water, I like something versatile because I have a spot where there are a bunch of different species of fish. I'd like to hook in all of them. So this is a pretty good universal hook. So now we have our hook, and We have 1,500 yards of line. We're probably like, probably almost like 1,300 now. So we're gonna make our own leader. So first thing we gotta do is we gotta snell this line onto this hook. All right. Again, fingernail clippers are the best tool for cutting fishing lines. So we're gonna remove our sticker here. Just put it on the bottom. Don't stick it all the way on, otherwise we'll lose its stickiness. We're gonna do maybe, I will say, we'll do about a foot. Yeah, about 12 inches, 1 foot of leader line. All right, and this right we're going to do right now is snell that hook. All right, we're not buying pre-tied hooks. We're making our own. So we got our fishing line right there. Take your sticker, put it back on your line so it doesn't become unraveled and go everywhere. All right, first things first. Now we're going to snell a hook, and this is how I do it. Again, there's different ways on how you can snell a hook. All right. All right, so what I like to do, I like to take the tip of the line and go through the back of the eye of the hook. All right, just like that. I'll take the line, I'm gonna hold it against the shank of the hook. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this line, I'm gonna wrap it around the shank probably about 7 or 8 times. All right, if I'm going after bigger fish, I'll wrap it 9 or 10 times. All right, so here we go. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. After that 10th time, hold down the wrapping around the hook. Now you're going to take the other side of your line. You're going to go through the front of the eye, out and away from the hook. All right, just like that. Boom. Tighten down on each end of the line, and bam, that is a snelled hook. All right, because it's a thin line. Oh, take the excess below the hook, use your fingernail clippers, cut off the excess, but leave some line on there, and bam. Now the first part of our leader is done. Now, the good thing about a snelled hook is when it tightens down, when that snell tightens down, it actually tightens on the hook. It is a knotless knot. Therefore, I've never had an actual snell break. Never had a snell break. I've had line above it break because of frays, but I've never had the snell itself break. So now we have the first portion of our leader. Now we got to do very easy part. We're going to take this other end opposite the hook, and we're going to put it through our bobber right there. Now what some people could do, you could take another swivel and attach it. Or, because we're using a bobber here, I'm going to tie, alright, I'm going to tie another overhand knot / a figure 8 knot. Same type of knot. So what I'm going to do, take that, I'm going to start off like I'm tying a Palomar, make a loop, take the closed end of your line through that loop, pull it all the way through the hole, tighten down, and bam. We now have a pre-tied hook. Snelled on one side, figure 8 loop on the other side. All right? And typically, I mean, with just a little bit of line like that, I'm not even going to cut that off. You make 6 of these, you just saved yourself some money buying 6 of them in the store for like, what, $3, $4, something like that. All right. This is for my hardest seeing people. We are going to tie a snell using bigger props so that way you can see how I'm doing this, all right? First thing, I'm going to simulate that this is the eye and the shank of a hook. The eye and the shank, all right? Take your fishing line. You want to go, say the front of my hook is facing you. You want to take your fishing line, go through the back of the hook, and down, just like that. All right. Go take your fishing line, hold it against your hook, like so. Take your other fishing line, and you're going to wrap it 7, 8, 9, 10 times. It's preferential, but I would say at least 6. All right. You're going to wrap it just like this around the eye. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Me, I like to go 10 because I go after big catfish and I want a lot of line on that hook. All right. Now, say that again, this is the eye and the shank. You want to hold the line against the shank of the hook. Again, the hook point is facing you. You're going to take the other end of your line. You're going to go back out of the eye of the hook, just like that. Whoops. It's kind of hard working with this stuff because it's so thick. But just like that. Boom. And guess what? That is how you tie a snail. It should look just like that. Alright? That's for the people who cannot see as well. Alright? So now we tied the snail onto the hook. Alright? So now I'm going to unravel this. Alright, so now we had tied all that. Now, again, basic figure 8 knot. Alright? Give me a second. Let me get this last knot out. Alright. Alright, so we have a knot. Alright, we have our fishing line. Say on the other end we have our pre-tied snail. Now we're just going to make a loop to put to our bobber. All right. So take your line, make a half loop, just like that. All right. See it? That's the end of the loop. That's the open portion of the loop. All right. Just going to make a figure 8 loop, a overhand knot, just like this. We'll make a circle. Take your closed end. Go through that loop and pull away. Bam! Now you have a knot and a circle to connect your leader to your bobber. So you have the knot to connect to your bobber or your rig, and you have the other end, which is your snelled hook. All right. Now say you have a closed. Now let's say you don't have a. Let's say you don't have a bobber on there. Let's say you have a swivel that doesn't have a clip that opens and closes. Well, that's easy. Say that's the end of your swivel right there. We're going to do what's called a cow hitch. All right. Take the closed loop, go through the eye of the swivel, take the other end, go through the loop, pull it down, bam. Cow hitch. That's not going anywhere. It works just fine. All right. That's simple. See, setting up your fishing gear doesn't have to be hard. It can be the easiest thing once you do it more and more. And again, these videos are already on YouTube, social media. Me, I'm trying to take you from having nothing at all, getting all your gear from start to finish. All right. So now we have that. Oh, there we go. Now all we got to do is take our leader and attach it to our bobber. And if you remember earlier, I talked about setting the bobber up. All you do, take the entire top portion of the bobber, push it down. You see how that clip comes out? Bam, just like that. All right, you see that? See that? Boom. Take your loop, put it right there, put it inside that hook. Oh, get in there. Get in there. Bam. And it closes up on its own because it's spring loaded. And bam, you now have your very first fishing rod set up. Take the hook and you can just clip it to the end right there, whatever. And you are now set up. You have taken the first step to setting your fishing rod up for fishing. All right. Now, let's say you get everything put together, and let's say, oh snap, my line is wrapped around my rod. You see that, how it's going around the rod? Well, it happens. All right, it happens to me all the time. I still do it. You can do one of two things. All right. If it is a two-piece rod, it automatically straightens out and comes out. It just goes through the two pieces. You put your two-piece back together, bam. But let's say that it's a one-piece rod, like my first rod I showed you earlier, aka the Veteran. Just like that. Say that you can't just take your rod apart. I'm gonna show you what to do. Loosen slack in your rod. What I'm gonna do, I'm just going to loosen that. There we go. We're gonna loosen everything, and here's what you do. Because actually, in one of my videos, this happened to my buddy Derek. He had tied up, and he had this like this. You're gonna take your line. If it is behind an eye, you can go like this. Whoops. Take your line, make sure your spool is all the way loose. Pull it all the way to the end of your line, like so. Take that loop and pull everything through that loop. Whoops, I almost hooked myself. Everything through the loop, and bam. The knot came out. The line that's wrapped around your rod is no longer wrapped up. It's that simple. You don't have to cut everything off and all that, you know what I mean? Tighten your drag back up, reel up the excess line, and bam. Line is no longer wrapped around your rod. Even as long as I've been fishing, I still wrap my stuff up. Alright? And so just a few other things that you might need. And what I like to do, I'll just put the hook through an eye just to put it away. Make sure it's slacked out. Alright. And that is how you set up your gear. Now you have a fishing rod, you have a reel, you have fishing line, you have a swivel, you have a bobber, and you have your own pre-tied snell. I like when you look at it, it costs so much less to just tie your own stuff as opposed to buying the pre-tied stuff that they sell in the stores. Alright. One thing I forgot to talk about is the drag. When I first started out, I had no idea what the drag did. But when you loosen it, this is what saves fishing line from breaking. Say you hook into a bigger fish and they start running. And they start running with your stuff. If they start running and your drag is all the way tight, guess what? Your line is more than likely going to break. Or if you have super strong line, you might get pulled into the water, or your pole might get pulled into the water out of your hands. Trust me, you can find videos on YouTube. There are videos out there of that happening. So, me, I like to loosen the drag because the fish I go after have the potential to pull everything in the water. I've had it happen so much. All right, but what can you do? All right, but you want the fish to be able to take a little bit of drag, but not much, and this saves your line, and it also wears the fish out. Think of the drag as like a weight. You got like a 5-pound dumbbell. You just sitting there doing curls. Oh, this is easy, you know. Well, now take a handcuff yourself to that weight, and you can't stop until someone takes that handcuff off. Same thing. That's like the handcuff represents the hook in the fish's mouth. You can't. The fish is eventually, it can pull the drag, but eventually it's going to wear out, and that's how, especially with bigger fish, that's how you wear a fish out. That's how you land them. Sometimes if I'm fighting a fish, I'll hold that pole up here and just let him fight, get out of the system. Then I'll reel in a little bit at a time. You know, it's bigger fish. You're not reeling them in. You're more or less techniquing them in. All right, and that is how you set up your fishing gear.